So as the White House and Republicans continue to negotiate when it comes to this infrastructure bill, more and more attention is being focused on two senators, Senator Sinema and Senator Manchin. And the reason why people are focused on these two senators is because they're moderates. Okay, so they can go either way. And so at this point, it's very crucial that Democrats get every vote they can. They need every vote. In the Senate, they need all 50 senators, 50 Democratic senators to vote for whatever this infrastructure bill looks like. And so we're going to take a look and a listen to Senator Manchin. He made his rounds today when it comes to going on the different networks and talking about what he wants as far as an infrastructure bill. So we're going to take a look and a listen to him. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please hit the like button. It does help with the YouTube algorithm. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that little bell notification. That way you'll get notified anytime we put out a video. Okay, so why is this important? This first infrastructure bill. This is very important for a variety of different reasons, but the main reason is that once we get past this first infrastructure bill, we can focus on this human infrastructure bill. This is the second infrastructure bill. So if you can make this first infrastructure bill bipartisan, the second infrastructure bill, you can focus more on maybe using reconciliation in order to get it through, because there are a lot of things in this human infrastructure bill that Republicans are not going to support. And so that's why it's very crucial to make this bipartisan. So let's take a look and a listen to Senator Manchin talk about this whole issue. Here we go.
Joining us now, the man in the middle on Capitol Hill, Democratic Senator Joe Manchin. Senator, the president and Senate Republicans are still far apart on any kind of infrastructure compromise. I want you to take a look at some of the differences. We're going to put them up. Sure. The president now wants $1 trillion. He's come down from 2.25, $1 trillion in new spending on infrastructure. Republicans are offering $300 billion in new spending. The president proposes a minimum corporate tax rate of 15% to pay for it. Republicans oppose any tax increase. So, as you can see, there.
Now, I want to go back to this really quick here because this is interesting. Now, so look at this. When we're talking about new spending, we're talking about $1 trillion. That's what's coming from President Biden. And the Senate Republicans, they're around $300 billion. Okay. Now, this second line here, 15% corporate tax rate, basically. So the minimum is 15%. Now, the Senate Republicans, it says, and this is Fox News, okay? So when I'm saying this is not coming directly from Republicans, but this is what the Fox News is getting. This is the information they're gathering. It says they oppose any tax hike. So 15% corporate tax rate, like no minimum, nothing less than that, that is below what the corporate tax rate is right now. The corporate tax rate is at 21%. So it's not a tax hike. It's actually lower than the 21%. But the reality is a lot of these corporations are not even paying 21%. They're not even paying 15%. They're paying more like 4 or 5%. Well, this is very telling when you put that out there and you say, okay, well, you know what? We'll drop it below the 21%. We'll drop it to 15%, but every corporation has to pay 15%. They can't pay any less than that. But obviously at this point, Republicans are still they're not for that.
As you can see, they're far apart. You're part of another bipartisan Senate group working on a possible compromise. If this negotiation falls apart, and it sure looks like it's going to, what's your plan?
Well, Chris, first of all, I commend the president and Senator Capito, my colleague from West Virginia, for continuing to work hard. They're working hard trying to find a compromise. They've come a long way, and they're moving in the right direction. We have to wait and see the outcome. You know, Shelley's also a part of what we call our G20 club, which is basically there's 10 Democrats and 10 Republicans. So we're working with everybody that we can, bringing all the different good ideas to the table of how we come together. We need a bipartisan infrastructure bill. We most definitely need that. And infrastructure is something that's been delayed for far too long by past administrations. So it's time for us to move forward. There's a lot that's been done with the COVID bills that we put out that basically overlap in some areas of infrastructure, but there's a lot more that needs to be done. And I think we can come to that compromise to where we'll find a bipartisan deal. I'm very, very confident of that.
Okay, now I want in the comment section, you guys let me know if you think he's being naive here when it comes to getting together and making this bipartisan, because he talked about this whole infrastructure. They've been talking about infrastructure since Obama. okay, and they cannot agree on an infrastructure bill. So this is not one of those situations where this is all new and we're just starting to talk about infrastructure. They've been talking about infrastructure for years, and he alluded to that. I think the divide between Democrats and Republicans is much greater now than it was even back then. So are we at a point now where we think that an infrastructure bill can be bipartisan? So let me know down below what you guys think about that.
Well, Secretary of Energy Granholm reiterated this morning that House Democrats are going to start their markup of the bill with or without Republicans. And if there is no compromise on infrastructure, and I think it's fair to say maybe not enough, but that Joe Biden has made some big concessions both on spending and a different tax plan. If it were to go in the Senate as a straight party line vote on, through budget reconciliation, will you support that kind of a bill? In other words, I guess what I'm asking is a straight party line infrastructure bill better than no bill at all?
Well, I think, I still have all the confidence in the world, Chris, we're going to get there. My goodness, the president has gone from $2.25 trillion down to $1 trillion. The Republicans have come up quite a bit from where they started. This is the same type of challenges we had back last year when we had to all get together and break a deadlock. But we're not there yet. I think they're going to be talking again tomorrow. We'll wait. We'll talk to Senator Capito after those meetings. We'll talk to the White House. And we think we can find a pathway forward. We're not that far apart. Look at the things, Chris. I want to say this. In the first 5 months of this year, we have operated more the way the Senate's supposed to operate in a bipartisan way than ever since I've been here in 10 years. So under Senator Schumer's leadership, we've had more bills, we've had more amendments voted on, we've gone through a normal process more, and people are continually trying to push us to more division. And I keep saying, let's continue to keep working. With this, the Senate's working. We've done bipartisan in the Asian hate crime bill. It was, 94-1. We're now based on the new frontier, the endless frontier. We're going to do that bipartisan next week as soon as we get back. So we're moving in the right direction.
But let me ask you about another issue, voting rights. You're the only Democrat in the Senate who is not supporting S1, the so-called For the People Act, which would be a major voting reform bill. You say it's too broad and too partisan. And instead, you support basically a renewal of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, which says that the feds get pre-clearance on any voting right changes in individual states, but you'd like it to apply to all 50 states, not just the states in the South that had a history of segregation. A couple of questions. One, is Chuck Schumer making a mistake in pushing this big bill, the For the People Act, and saying that he wants a vote on it by the end of the month? And two, if he does bring it to the floor, will you vote against that bill?
Well, I've been pretty clear on that. I did an op-ed back home in West Virginia. It came out today, and laid out my concerns and my preference of what I think would happen. Voting is the bedrock of our democracy. An open, fair, secured voting. We used to go around the world and explain and show and observe voting procedures in a democracy. And now if we can't practice what we preach, and we're going to basically do an overhaul, an 800-page overhaul of the voting rights, or what we call For the People Act. I think there's a lot of great things. I agree in that piece of legislation, but there's an awful lot of things that basically don't pertain directly to voting. So the Voting Rights Act.
So let me just.
Sure.
So just to put a button on this, you will vote against that bill if it gets to the Senate floor.
I think it's the wrong piece of legislation to bring our country together and unite our country, and I'm not supporting that because I think it would divide us further. I don't want to be in a country that's divided any further than I'm in right now. I love my country, and I think my Democrat and Republican colleagues feel the same. If we continue to divide it and separate us more, it's not going to be united, and it's not going to be the country that we love and know, and it's going to be hard because it'll be back and forth no matter who's in power. And that's why I've been protecting.
So that brings
the problem.
I mean, I think it's unfortunate, but we're already there. We are divided as a country, and we saw this in the last several years, how divided we are. And even now you have politicians, the whole goal is to get that other party out of power. And so whatever you can do to make that happen, that's That's what we're seeing now with these political parties. So if you have an agenda and you want to get that forward, the other party is automatically going to be against that, even if it's in a pandemic. We saw after the CARES Act, that first stimulus package that had stimulus checks in it, we saw it took, 7-8 months in order to get to another stimulus package when people were saying they needed help. And we had politicians going back and forth and nothing happening. And then we had an election that year. So that could have been part of the reason. I mean, it's just crazy. We have political parties right now that want to stay in power. And the only way they can stay in power is by bringing that other party down. And the only way they can bring that other party down is by voting against anything that they want to do. That's where we are right now. So the notion that, no, we want to be bipartisan and all this, we're not there. And until the American people say we've had enough and we need you to move forward with these, we need you to be bipartisan, then they're not going to be bipartisan. The American people need to step up and say, look, this is not acceptable. This is what we want. This is how we want it paid for. It's our money. This is what you need to do. But until that happens, you're going to have politicians that are going to go back and forth and try to pick any little piece of something that they don't like and say, you know what, I'm against it because of that.
Process.
Well, let me just ask, that brings us to a comment by President Biden this week about you and Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema. Take a look.
I hear all the folks on TV saying, why doesn't Biden get this done? Well, because Biden only has a majority of effectively 4 votes in the House and a tie in the Senate, with 2 members of the Senate who vote more with my Republican friends.
Now, we looked it up, and in fact, on bills that have gotten to the Senate floor, you have voted with President Biden 100% of the time, but you have opposed him on bills that haven't gotten to the Senate yet. For instance, this For the People Act, which the Democrats intend to put on the floor. You say you're going to vote against that. You're against the $15 minimum wage. I don't really want to get in the details of those, but is it fair when Joe Biden says he doesn't have solid support from Democrats like you?
I think that's taken out of content, and I really, on that, I support President Biden, what he's doing and what he's trying to do. No one understands the Senate, the makeup of the Senate, and the challenges that we have as a Senate more than President Joe Biden, who was here over 30-some years. With that, he understands there's got to find a pathway forward. And Joe Biden always could do that. And I know he understands where we are on this, and we're trying to find a pathway. Of course, he has his position. He lays out his proposals. We look at those and we make adjustments accordingly. And that's what we're trying to do. And I think deep down his heart, he knows we need to bring this country together. So I've said this. I believe Joe Biden is the right person, the right place, at the right time for our country. Now we have to unite together. And that means a little bit of difficulties and challenges, but we'll get through it. We're the most deliberate body in the world. And that was by design.
I want to ask you 2 questions
Sure.
quickly, if I can, Senator Manchin, about that. First of all, you have made it clear, and I'm not going to ask you again, you said that you oppose scrapping the filibuster. The question I have is whether or not, and you say you hope that that'll bring the parties together. The question I have is whether or not you're doing it exactly the wrong way. And hear me out on this. If you were to keep the idea that maybe you would vote to kill the filibuster, wouldn't that give Republicans an incentive to actually negotiate? Because old Joe Manchin's out there, and who knows what he's going to do. By taking it off the table, haven't you empowered Republicans to be obstructionists?
I don't think so, because we have 7 brave Republicans that continue to vote for what they know is right and the facts as they see them, not worrying about the political consequences. Okay,
now he's saying you have 7. You need 10. So if you only have 7, you're still not going to be able to move forward with anything. So the what they're talking about here is this filibuster. So if you don't get those 10 votes, then now Republicans can just say, you know what, we're going to use a filibuster. They can threaten to use a filibuster, so they won't move forward with anything unless they get those 10 Republicans to vote. So you need 60 votes in the Senate. And so if you do away with the filibuster or even the threat, and that's what Mr. Wallace was saying there, even the threat. So if Manchin threatened, you know what, we're going to have to do away with the filibuster, and I'm going to vote for that if we can't move forward in a bipartisan fashion, that alone would get some Republicans to say, you know what, let's see what we can do to work together. That way we can get some of these bills passed, and not have to get rid of the filibuster, because if the filibuster is gotten rid of, then you're not going to have any situation where, I mean, Democrats will be able to do majority vote for everything.
I believe there's a lot more of my Republican colleagues and friends that feel the same way. I'm just hoping they are able to rise to the occasion to defend our country and support our country and make sure that we have a democracy for this republic of all the people. I'm just very hopeful that I see good signs. We're doing, Chris, more things than ever before. Give us some time. I know everyone's putting deadlines. Got to be done by this, and this.
But let me ask you the final question, sir. I mean, let's just take the idea of creating a 9/11 commission to investigate the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol. Republicans blocked that. Senator McConnell, the head of the Republicans in the Senate, says that he's 100% focused on blocking the Biden agenda. Question, aren't you being naive about this continuing talk about bipartisan cooperation?
I'm not being naive. I think he's 100% wrong in trying to block all the good things that we're trying to do for America.
And so Mitch McConnell, he's the leader. He's the leader of the Republicans in the Senate. So if you have the leader saying, look, this is his goal is to block 100% of what President Biden's agenda is. He wants to block everything that President Biden comes forward with, and that's the leader saying that, then you know you're going to have a lot of Republican senators follow suit, follow along with him. So right there, he's just telling you, look, Mitch McConnell's telling you, we don't want to make anything bipartisan. We want to block everything and then hope that we can regain power in a couple of years.
We a lot better if we had participation, and we're getting participation. But when it comes time to final vote, and I disagree with Leader McConnell on this, the minority leader on this issue, that he puts politics before the policies that I think we need for our country. I'm going to continue to keep working with my bipartisan friends, and hopefully we can get more of them. I can tell you this, in 2013, at that time, Harry Reid, the leader of the majority party, the Democrats, basically the nuclear option, which did away with the filibuster on appointments and district and circuit judges. Come back to 2017, then we had Leader McConnell at that time in the majority, and he did away with it for the Supreme Court. So what goes around comes around here. They all understand that, and there were 33 Democrats in 2017 that signed a letter to please save the filibuster and save our democracy. That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, so that was Senator Manchin, and I just wanted to show you that. I'm going to start showing more clips of the different politicians talking about what they want to do and how they want to do it, because I think it's very important for you to hear it from them. So when it comes down to it, Senator Manchin still, I mean, he's not giving direct answers to a lot of the questions that are being asked. And when it comes to this infrastructure bill, we'll have to see where that goes. But at this point, Senator Manchin's not saying anything as far as if he would vote for the White House, the current White House proposal or not. He wants to make this bipartisan. He wants the Democrats and Republicans to get together. And in reality, that would be good. It would be a great thing. I just don't think we're there. And I think, just like Chris Wallace said, I think he's being naive. I think he's in a situation right now where he's not looking at it and realizing, okay, we don't have the votes. We just don't have the votes from Republicans. He admitted there's 7 Republicans that he think will come on board. Well, you still need 3 more. So if you need 3 more, you need to work on those people. And if they're not willing to come forward and vote for this infrastructure bill, then you're wasting your time and you need to move forward. You need to move on. Like he said that it's been years that they've been trying to get this infrastructure bill done. So if it's been years that they've been trying to get this infrastructure bill done and they have an opportunity to get something done, let's move forward with it. There's a reason why it's been years. It's been years because you can't get Democrats and Republicans on the same page. And so now that you have an opportunity for reconciliation, you should use it. All right, I have a question for you guys, and here is the question. Should Democrats move forward without Republicans to get the infrastructure bill passed? So let me know what you guys think down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.